My name is Chef Swole, and we are on a mission to be Elden Ring from start to finish using all 411 unique weapons that the game has to offer. Today's weapon is the Serpentbone Blade, and it was recommended by Ryan Wilson over on YouTube. So if you have a weapon that you want to see next, put it in the comments below, and if we pick your weapon, we'll shout you out in the intro. Now, throughout the course of this video, we will be going over a breakdown of the optimal starting class when doing a playthrough from start to finish using the Serpentbone Blade. We will then go into what stats you should upgrade and in what order. Are there any soft caps that you should hit, hard caps to avoid in order to help you maximize your weapon? From there, we'll do a full breakdown of the build, the armor, the talismans, the psychic flask, everything you need to know to maximize this weapon. After that, we will go into gameplay footage from all the 14 required mandatory bosses that you will have to overcome to become the Elden Lord. Finally, we're going to end up the video with a tier list where we will rank this weapon on a tier of S, A, C, D, or the lowest broken straight sword tier against all the weapons that we played with so far. So sit back, strap in, relax, and without further ado, let's head into the starting class. The optimal starting class for using the Serpentbone Blade in a full playthrough from start to finish is going to be the Warrior class, because the Warrior class offers us the closest starting stat spread to wield the weapon. Right off the bat, the weapon requirements for the Serpentbone Blade is 16 dexterity and 11 strength. So this class, we're going to have to only level up one time, just one level of strength to 11 in order to start wielding the weapon. After you upgrade that point into strength, you want to get your vigor up, because the best way to increase your damage is upgrading the weapon, not upgrading the stats. So that being said, we can afford to wait on the damage dealing stats and focus on survivability. So get your vigor up from 11 to 30 initially to help you out with that early game survival. The next item on the agenda is to get your endurance to 15 if you're going armorless, or if you're running the armor that we recommended, go ahead and get it all the way up to 20 to ensure you can medium roll while wearing the set. Next up, you want to finally focus on your damage dealing attributes, and we want to get our dexterity from 16 up to about 30. Before flipping back over, at this point, it'll be time to focus back on your health again. Get it up to 50 for late game survivability. After that, flip back over to dexterity and continue to upgrade that until it is at 60. From there, any remaining points, you want to get your strength to its soft cap of 20, so 11 to 20, if and only if you have left over. Now that we know the optimal starting class and we know what stats to upgrade and in what order, let's head into a full breakdown of the builds. Now that we know the starting class, what stats to upgrade, and in what order, let's take a look at the build itself. And thus far, as we played through this is weapon number 24 out of 411, and it has been one of my all-time favorites so far. First of all, just aesthetically, the weapon looks absolutely amazing. It is a katana that seems to be made out of the spine of a serpent, and this is unique in that it is the only katana with innate poison. So what we've done is, in addition to the fully upgraded Serpentbone Blade, which will be two-handing the entire run, in our offhand, we have the DLC Poison Hand, which is going to give us a 7.5% attack boost every time poison is procced from our Poison Fused Blade. Poison is going to be procced plenty, because we're going to be using this weapon the entire playthrough. This 7.5% boost is going to stack with our crown, the Mushroom Crown, which does a 10% attack buff, so we're at 17.5, and that will also stack with the Kindred of Rot's Execution for 15%, meaning every time poison is procced, which will be often, all of our attacks will be getting a 32.5% boost. If that wasn't enough, the only attacks that we're going to be using is going to be our Ash of War. The Ash of War in this weapon cannot be changed. It comes equipped with the double slash, which, for those not familiar, it is the exact same Ash of War that is on the infamous Rivers of Blood katana. This Ash of War will activate consecutive hits, and because we'll be using it as an Ash of War every single time that we use this attack, it is getting boosted by the Shard of Alexander for another 15%. I'm not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure 32.5 plus 15 equals 47.5. You can check me out in the comments below if I'm wrong. Next up, we have the consecutive hit talismans, because as we use this Ash of War, we're going to be getting all several consecutive hits. So that means the Rotten Wingman Sigma, Millicent's Prostate, and the Thorny Cracked Tier will be boosting our damage even higher as we keep stacking up consecutive hits with this very fast Ash of War. The other tier in the second class will be the Green Burst Crystal tier, and that's going to boost our stamina recovery. And for the rest of the armor piece, we have Rakisha's armor equipped. This is going to give us a 2% increased damage per item wear. So before consecutive hats are factored in at all, we're at 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 50, 53, about 55% damage increase on all of our attacks with just our buffs when they're poisoned before factoring in the consecutive hits. This damage is going to be absolutely insane as we traverse through the region. Now, let's get a quick example of what this build will look like on a random NPC. Fires is a good one, and we pop our flask here. And then we just start wailing on him. Ash of War. And you just see the devastating amount of damage from the boost that this build provides. He didn't even get a chance to move. Unfortunately for us, most of the bosses in this playthrough, and by most, I mean all, will be moving throughout the course of this run. So with that being said, let's see how this weapon performs against the first boss, Margit. All right, now the theory crafting in this build is done. Now is our chance to test it out live in action. We pop our Psychic Flask right before the fight starts, and we get ready for the Foul Weasel. He comes down in here, and we steal the strat. We're going to spam our Ash of War, activating all of our buffs. As soon as the poison procs, as it is now, you see that buff coming up there. We're going to be doing maximum damage. So we dodge through this attack. Let's see how it goes. And it is an absolute demolition. He does not get a chance to start the second phase. The Fell Aimant does not pass go. The Fell Aimant does not collect $200. The Fell Aimant is down, and the overall difficulty is an absolute 1 on 10. The Serpentbone Blade is off to a grand start. We'll see if we can keep the momentum going against Godrick the Grafted as we head to Stormvale Castle, but we can just see start to finish, every item working in synergy. Excellent start. Let's head up to God. So if a weapon earns a 1 on 10 for the Godrick fight, it has to beat him before he gets a chance to fully complete his transition into second phase. And this is the second weapon in the run that I thought might have a chance to do that, behind only the Beastman's Curve Sword. So let's see how it works. Whenever he's immobile, the idea is we want to get all of our buffs activated by spamming the Ash of War. The green mist around us means that it all is. And now we can see the HP going down. And unfortunately, we won't quite get it before he does his transition, and that's because, of course, poison does not take out percentages of haze-like bleed. That being said, as soon as he phases in the second phase, before his flame tenor is even close to finishing him, when he does not have the damage reduction that he has, when he's chopping off his arm and gets him ready for second phase, he goes down, gets absolutely melted like a hot knife through butter. The overall difficulty of Godrick the Grafted with the Serpentbone Blade ends up being a 2 on 10 for that reason. Really looking forward to seeing how it performs against the Red Wolf. Right then, so whenever we're fighting the Red Wolf, we want to identify when these safe windows are going to be, because it's a glass cannon type boss. Lots of attacks that are going to be ranged, followed up by some quick bite attacks and clearing out big chunks of the room by just jumping towards your character or jumping up and utilizing its magic sword. So we haven't even really had a chance to attack. We're going to dodge through its bite attack, and we're able to get off 2 hits of our Ash of War, taking about 1/3 of his health gone. He hasn't been poisoned yet, though, and that's when the major buffs of this build come. But you can just see the overall damage just without that. Too little, too late for the dog there. We're going to go ahead and teach it to sit. We're going to teach it to stay. We're going to teach it to be a good boy. And we're going to continue to head up to Rennala. The overall difficulty of the Red Wolf using the Serpentbone Blade is a 2.5 on 10. So we'll call it a 3 on 10 here, because he did take a while to get us a window, and he did take a few hits of damage. Still, though, I'm optimistic it'll do even better next. And better it did. At the start of phase 1 for Rennala, we need to hit 3 light bulbs in the choir kid singing. That's 2 already, but the big test comes when the boss falls down. When the boss falls down, you have a certain window of time in order to hit her before she goes back up in her cocoon. And to get a 1 on 10 difficulty, we need to finish her off before she gets a chance to get back up, as we did right there. So far, so good on the Moon Queen. For phase 2, in order to maintain a true 1 on 10, we need to be able to quickly eliminate her health pool before she gets a chance to run away and do a bunch of summons. You see right there, it was an absolute meteoric prophesific devastation. The main queen not only didn't get a chance to do summon, she didn't get a chance to move. She clicked Hyper Beam. She was recharging on her after 10, just like a Pokemon Master, just like a Dragonite. And she was heavily punished for that. The overall difficulty of Rennala with the Serpentbone Blade is a 1 on 10, one of the easiest fights in this run or any run. Let's see if we can continue that momentum against the Dramatic Tree Sentinel. Unfortunately, the ability of the last fight was short-lived as the Dramatic Tree Sentinel really puts a whale of a head on our character. So right from the start, you see our runes on the ground, meaning this boss actually defeated us. We got a little bit too greedy because, as we know, it is better to be greedy than to simply be good at the game. But sometimes we get punished for that, as you saw right there. That being said, we're going to continue to wait for open windows of opportunity on this boss, such as when they do their lightning attack. You notice when the lightning is spread out everywhere around us, if we find a safe place in that lightning, we're able to get off the finishing blow, collect our runes from the failed attempt, and be on our way. Either it wasn't the devastating beatdown that the Moon Queen received, it was still an overall easy fight. And because we died once, we can't give it a rating of under 5 on 10, but we didn't have trouble with it. So because of the one death, it's going to be a 5 on 10 difficulty. Now let's head upstairs to the capital and the Ghost of Godfrey. So the Ghost of Godfrey is one of the 3 enemies in this run that cannot be poisoned. Because of that, we know we're not going to be activating all of our buffs that happen when we poison. So we're going to show you the windows of opportunity here when using the Serpentbone Blade to take out this boss. First things first, you only want to tap that Ash of War 1 time. You don't want to be animation locked and get punished from this boss. Second thing second, when you're fighting him, you want to stay on his left hip, and that's going to be the right hip as you're looking at the boss. When you stay there, you're going to trigger this sequence where he'll jump away from you, and staying right on that hip will allow you to bait out only 2 to 3 attacks, and you won't have to worry about his full arsenal. When he jumps away from you, you're able to jump over the rocks, get back on that hip, jump over the rocks, dodge one of those 2 or 3 moves, and now we've got a free punish. You see right there, 1, 2, and we trigger his third move, his left-right horizontal swing. We get another easy hits in there and finish him off with a jump attack. No poison buffs needed, no poison buffs problem. Let's continue to head upstairs to Margit, the fire omelets, the omelet king, and see if we can scramble up some toppings in that omelet. Unfortunately, this omelet was very adverse to being scrambled, and as you see right here, he's coming in with a whale of attacks for us. He gets us quickly, but you know what? When you're using this build that we have set up with this weapon, you want to be in a position where you are okay trading damage. Reason for that is, if you take a couple of hits, but you're able to get that poison, as you see, all of our busts of the buffs activate and the boss gets absolutely melted. Look at the face of just shock that we have on there. His health bar was Exodia obliterated. This last of all kings was sent to the Shadow Realm. He's hanging out with Exodia, Yugi, Joey, and the rest of them. And basically, it was one of the easiest fights of the run. He did get off a couple of attacks on us, but it was by design, because by trading for those first few attacks and making sure you poison this boss, you're going to set yourself up for a ton of success there. As you saw, it was an easy trade, an easy W. And for that reason, the overall difficulty of Morgott, the king of the capital, comes out to a true 1 on 10 when utilizing the Serpentbone Blade. Let's continue to head on to the mountaintops of the giants. One of the best ways to take out the fire giants is going to be using poison, because when he rolls away from you in phase 2, creating all that distance, if he's poisoned, that's going to be working against him, because he's going to get that dots, that damage over time. So in phase 1, you want to focus on his left Achilles, as we're doing here. And while you're focusing on that, you'll notice he's having a hard time getting poison. This boss is highly resistant to poison. However, unlike the Ghost of Godfrey, the poison will still proc, and we will see that soon. But we don't only have to rely on the poison with this build, which is one of the true beauties of it. We still have the Shard of Alexander giving us a 15% attack boost. We still have the consecutive hit talismans and the Thorny Crack tier, and you can see the overall devastating amounts of attack multipliers we're putting the fire giant on skates for a very short phase 1. When phase 2 starts, you want to continue wailing on his hand, and you will likely get a stagger as we saw there, and we are able to start off this fight of phase 2 with almost all of his hit eliminated, giving him roughly 15% or so remaining. So you do want to be careful after he gets off that first attack, because if he rolls into you, you might take a boatload of damage as we did there. But that's one of the big reasons why in the start of this video, we put on a full class breakdown and discuss the best ways to level your character. So if you do get hit with one of these attacks, you're able to survive it as we did there. In second phase, we want to chase him down and attack that injured leg. That's what we're attacking in phase 1. A lot of people will tell you, hey, if you go for his hands instead of his leg, you'll do more damage. And that is true. But that doesn't take into consideration that if you're in front of the giant, you can get hit. And if you have to redo this fight one time, it's going to add a lot more time to your run. And so for that reason, we will stick to the backside pause and take him from behind. When he rolls away from you, give chase as you see the plays and finally proccing. A quick body slam attack from the fire giant is too little too late as we dodge through it. It's an easy W. We had to do a bit of chasing. We got hit once. So the overall difficulty for the fire giant using the Serpentbone Blade comes out to a 3 on 10. The Godskin Duo is a boss that no matter what kind of build you're running, if you aren't careful, you can die at least one time. And you see our character picking up his runes right there. They did manage to get us once. It was a very disgusting combo, but still, you're going to notice that the fight overall wasn't too challenging. We immediately start the fight by attacking the range one, because if we stay on the range one, we know that it's going to help us create a one-on-one fight. He's going to try to transition into his phase 2, but if we stay aggressive on him, we're able to finish him up before he gets a chance, giving us a true one-on-one to this fight. And these one-on-ones are where you're going to live and breathe when it comes to beating the Godskin Duo with the Serpentbone Blade. Once one of them is down, you're able to focus one-on-one on the other one, keep up the pressure so they don't get a chance to summon their friend back. Once they're both down, one more will appear eventually, giving you a chance to order farm a little bit, which is highly important when utilizing the Serpentbone Blade. When the round one finally finishes a snack and comes back, we are ready to start this one-on-one with him. And our whole idea is, hey, we're going to keep up the pressure on this boss, defeat him before he gets a chance to summon back the skinny Godskin. And even though he pulls out his belt, it is too little too late. He put up the fire to trap us in, but he wasn't trapped in there with us. We were trapped in there with him. And we finished him off, as the Irish expression goes, grabbed the sight of grace, and continued on to Malkeith. Malkeith is a lot of players' hardest boss in the game due to his very fast moveset and unpredictable nature of phase 2. In order to maximize your chances against him, what I recommend is in phase 1, just like with the Ghost of Godfrey, you don't do anything more than the Ash of War once. We're not trying to stack up a boatload of damage here. We're trying to attack him once, let him run away and dodge his attack. As you see, we get through the rocks there. And then wait for your open windows. One of those is when he does that attack he just did, where he puts his knife in the ground and twists towards you. Another is after he throws the rocks. And you see right there, we're able to get a big hit off on him and get him to second phase. Now, when second phase starts, you'll see us go 2 steps to the right, 3 steps back. That will bait out this attack, his overhead swing, his horizontal follow-up, and his vertical slash down. We're able to get about half of his health immediately done when he does that. And when he lands, we are even able to follow him up and finish him off, pause, before he gets a chance to get going. If you utilize this strategy, these open windows, and approach Malkeith like this when using the Serpentbone Blade, you will find that the overall difficulty on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 1. Enjoy your easy W. Let's head into the Ashen Capital and Gideon, the all-knowing. Over the course of this challenge, Gideon has consistently been the most love-hate relationship we've had with any boss. Either we first try him easily or he is the hardest fight in the run. And what I've noticed is that with very aggressive weapons, such as the Serpentbone Blade, and very aggressive weapon styles, such as this build with all of its buffs with the poison, whenever they're able to just stack damage on this boss before he gets a chance to get going, you can overwhelm him and devastate him, as you see in the footage here. The Serpentbone Blade is one of the few weapons we've done in the run thus far that can absolutely trivialize this boss. You saw he got off 2 attacks, one of them hit us, and none of them worried us. Gideon, the all-knowing, is a 1 on 10 difficult when using the Serpentbone Blade with this build that we utilize. And as long as you use the strategy in this video of staying on top of him, walking to where he rolls to, and following up, you're going to have no trouble at all. The next boss, we might have a bit. Let's go and find out now. When fighting Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, phase 1 is going to be very similar to the entire Ghost of Godfrey fight, with one massive difference. Unlike his Ghost, this Godfrey can be poisoned. So pop your Psychic fast before you enter the arena and know that we will be utilizing the same strategy. However, you will notice the damage getting absolutely ridiculous once the poison procs on Godfrey. So right at the start of the fight, he's going to drag his axe, dodge to it, and punish with 1 Ash of War. He'll jump away from you. We follow it up with a jump of our saves, get in range, quickly punish, and we are getting ready for the stomp attack, which will let you roll forward behind him. You notice there we didn't attack him, and that is because we're keeping an eye on that green stamina bar. If it goes to 0, you're not going to be able to attack, you're not going to be able to dodge. So when sequencing this boss, staying on his right hip, left hip, as you're looking at him, as we mentioned during the Ghost fight, keep it on that stamina at all times, know when to attack and when to recover. That being said, you're able to continue the strategy that we showed in the Ghost fight, with the exception being the damage is overwhelming now that we have him poisoned, activating the buff of our Mushroom Crown, our Poison Glove, and our Kindred Rot Spirit. Start a second phase, you're able to immediately dodge his roll. That is a pre-programmed attack, and 2 Ashes of War clicks get him into range for his stomp attack, allowing you to finish him off. That right there is why it's better to be greedy than to be good at the game, or a farm after you beat the boss naturally, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And let's continue on to the current Elden Lord after taking out to the previous with Radagon and his pet, the Elden Beast. Unfortunately, due to a streaming error that was definitely not the streamer's fault, the face cam was up in the entire duration of Radagon. However, I will link a video with a similar strategy to what this weapon used to defeat him. But for now, we will at least give his difficulty rating as we transition into the Elden Beast portion of the fight. It was an easy W and a 1 on 10. When the Elden Beast fight starts, you want to get behind him and start wailing on him. Now, you will notice right off the bat that the massive damage we saw during a lot of these bosses isn't affecting the Elden Beast as much. And the reason for that is that the Elden Beast is one of those bosses that is impossible to poison. No worries though, because this build does not only rely on poison for damage. We see a massive attack buff from utilizing the Shard of Alexander and the consecutive hit talismans, the Rotten Wind Sigma, Millicent's Prostate, as well as the Thorny Cracked Tears to devastating effect. So after you get the Elden Beast down to about 1/3, he will do his ring around the rosy attack, running away from us as we jump to a ring and follow him up with a few more hits, prompting him to get below 50% health. The Elden Beast is very cowardly, as you see in the clip. He runs away to the other side of the map, starts his Elden Star attack, and he will combo this with a Holy Base tracking attack. When this activates, you want to run around in a quick circle and see what the RNG rolls the next attack to be, and we get the fire. So when the fire comes down, you want to hop on horseback, run away from it. If you try to run to him and get behind him like you did when the fight starts, you won't have enough time at this point in the fight. So it is best to run away from it, and then when the fire goes out, approach the boss. Now we're right back into the start of the fight here. We get hit by the slam, but we heal up. And as the cowardly beast runs away, we chase him down, and we are looking for a window of opportunity to start spamming that Ash of War. And that opportunity will come right here as we hit him once, twice, and then we are able to once again dodge through his holy slams. He's going to go again. And on the twirl, we're going to get a big window of opportunity right here to start wailing on him. 1, 2, and then we can heal it back up. And if he runs away, more than likely we're getting the triple dose of Ring Around the Rosie. If he does decide to do his AoE type of attacks, then similar to after the first Ring Around the Rosie, you run in a circle to avoid it. If he hops around for the Ring Around the Rosie part 3, I like to hop on the horse during this portion to help me get out of it faster than the first one. Either way, after the attack, he'll follow up with some sort of melee sequence. You see here the left, the right, the body slam. We're able to hit 1 Ash of War, 2 Ashes of War, 3 Ashes of War, and the 4th finishes him off. Again, proving why it's better to be greedy than to be good at the game. This Elden Beast fight, it wasn't the shortest one. We are never in danger of dying, but he did actually hit us with 4 different attacks. For that reason, the overall difficulty will be a 4 on 10 for the Elden Beast. Now that we've gone over the 14 mandatory bosses that are required to beat the game and become the Elden Lord using the Serpentbone Blade, let's head into a breakdown of where this weapon lands on our tier list. The overall difficulty rating on a scale of 1 to 10 for the 14 required bosses to beat the game with the Serpentbone Blade ended up coming to a very respectable 2.91 out of 10, making the Serpentbone Blade a surprisingly great choice to use to become the Elden Lord. As we went over in the breakdown of the build, the amount of damage that you can achieve with this weapon, with this build, when optimizing your stats is absolutely incredible. We're able to put it on full display for many of the bosses, and you saw their health bars getting melted oftentimes before they could get a chance to move. This is, I would say, my first absolute shocking placement because it is established in the Elden Ring community that this is just an absolute garbage katana. But I'm going to go on a limb and say not only is this weapon great with a poison build, but the addition of the DLC side weapon, the poison hand, to push your attack to a staggering 32.5% when an enemy is poisoned, puts the Serpentbone Blade above the Moonveil Katana, bumping the Moonveil Katana from an S tier to above average, as at this point, the Serpentbone Blade has overtaken what the Moonveil Katana provides. But enough about what I think. I want to know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with our placement of the Serpentbone Blade? Am I absolutely full of it? Is it not an S tier weapon? Does the Moonveil Katana still carry? Let me know any additional items or trips and tips that I could have missed when writing up the build. I always love hearing from you. And until next time, stay firm, stay maidenless.